Now,
The news with Gary Liberatore and meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good Monday morning, and thank you for joining us. I'm Gary Liberatore.
and I'm Storm Tracker 2 meteorologist Eric Gage.
And a reminder, some schools are closed today due to power outages and extreme temperatures, while others are dismissing early. We do have them listed at WKTV.com and are strolling them at the bottom of your screen. But Eric, on Friday you mentioned those potential storms Saturday night into Sunday morning could be dangerous, and sadly they were.
Yeah, and honestly, I saw that in our data, and it was the worst case scenario, and I was hoping it wasn't, and it just happened to go out that way. And you hate to forecast something that would verify like that, and unfortunately that was the case.
Yeah, right in the middle of the night.
Yeah, that's the worst time to have it happen. In fact, what happened from that storm, just a reminder that because there was an official reading for a tornado in Clark Mills, does not mean that there was more wind damage or other tornado possible things along that line. But this is what the survey concluded yesterday, that a confirmed EF1 touchdown took place in Clark Mills between 3:58 and 4:03. Those peak winds at 105 miles an hour. And even beyond that, as you head out closer to, say, Clinton, even parts of New Hartford, where those winds, straight line wind damage was still just as intense. Around the state, we're starting out very warm, and we're not tracking anything like that in the short term. We'll put some peace of mind in your thoughts this morning. Is for right now, what we're tracking is just heat, but still heat can be just as dangerous. You want to make sure you guys know about that too. The radar is dry. The next 12 hours we climb into the low 90s. The heat index likely could be approaching 100 degrees. We're going to track what you can expect for today, tomorrow, when this heat comes to an end, and of course, importantly, that humidity. And all that and more in that full forecast. Gary?
Eric, thanks. And sadly, those storms Sunday morning were deadly. 3 people, including twin 6-year-old sisters, are dead after that line of severe weather barreled through Clark Mills. The National Weather Service, as Eric mentioned, confirmed the tornado was an EF1 on the ground for over 2 miles. Oneida County Sheriff's officials confirmed 50-year-old Shelly Johnson was killed when a tree came down on top of her home on Millstream Court. And right around the corner from there, Emily and Kenny Bisson, twin 6-year-old sisters, were killed when a tree came right down through their home. And according to a GoFundMe page posted to help their mother, twin sisters Emily and Kenny Bisson were known throughout Clark Mills and would always bring a smile to people's faces. The community is now in mourning, obviously. News Channel 2's Jason Paulus begins our coverage from Clark Mills.
I look out and you can just see it. It looked like it was a whipping, like the rain was coming down circular. So I woke up my fiance and I was like, it's crazy out there. We got to go down, make sure nothing fell. We go downstairs, we look out our first window, and all we see are leaves. A tree has fallen completely against the window, and all we saw was a tree silhouetted through their house entirely. You could see it going in one side and out the other. So at that point, me and my fiance, we ran outside, at which point Rick, who he's a volunteer firefighter as well, was already helping. So I just started taking his command. We helped get the mother out. We got her from the second story, the one next to the air conditioner. We got her out from there and down a tree to get her out. And then the rest of the fire department showed up, and that's kind of when I stepped back.
The tree slicing the home in half, killing the identical twin sisters inside while they slept. About 2 blocks away, a tree crushed the back end of a home on Millstream Court. Oneida County sheriffs say Shelly Johnson was killed inside.
First and foremost, our thoughts and prayers go out to the victims and their families, along with the first responders who were on these calls. Obviously, we again, just a difficult thing.
The damage widespread across Clark Mills. Oneida County Sheriffs and State Police assisting Kirkland Police, along with the Clark Mills Fire Department, several other fire departments, and county services all responding. The cleanup continues, and Sheriff Mashel has a word of warning for those just looking to see what they can see.
But most importantly, for this specific incident right here, we just ask that everyone please stay out of the area. Let these first responders, firefighters and first in law enforcement do their job. Please stay out of the area. Watch TV instead. You'll get your information that you need from there.
Clinton Central schools are closed today, but on Tuesday, they will make counselors available for anyone affected by this tragic loss. Reporting in Clark Mills, Jason Paulus, News Channel 2.
Again, a GoFundMe page has been set up to help the mother of the girls. We do have a link for that for you on our website, WKTV.com. And the damage from the storms was not limited to Clark Mills. The storms carved a path of downed trees and power lines that stretched from Alexandria Bay to our north all the way down to Unadilla to our south. In Herkimer County right here, the strong winds brought trees down onto 2 trailers on Locust Lane. No injuries were reported there, but there is extensive damage. And in Rome, the winds brought down trees and power lines along North James Street. A massive oak tree was completely uprooted along West Liberty Street, blocking the road for several hours. Damage was also reported along West Locust and West Linden Streets as well. We'll have a look at more storm damage and flooding in Madison County coming up. And with the power not coming on for a matter of days for some residents and widespread outages, the Red Cross is setting up local shelters here in our area. So far, in Oneida County, a shelter is open at St. Joseph's Church, located at 5478 Stokes Lee's Center Road in Lee's Center. And in Madison County, a shelter is open at the Canastota VFW Post, located at 3835 Canal Road in Canastota. The shelters will be open 24 hours a day for the foreseeable future, with a place to stay, cool, and get food and water. Of course, we'll let you know if any other shelters will be opening. And the power again still off for tens of thousands of homes across the region. For some, the estimated restoration time is today. For others, it's not until late Tuesday night. Here in Oneida County, a total of nearly 17,000 residents remain in the dark at this hour. In Herkimer County, more than 3,400, and in Madison County, close to 3,200. Now, dry ice will be available to residents affected by power outages at a few locations. In Clark Mills, the fire department will have dry ice and water available at the firehouse starting at 8 this morning. National Grid will also have dry ice available from 8 until 4 today at the Kirkland Senior Center on Mill Street. And you are asked to bring your own cooler to transport the dry ice. And later this morning, Connected Community Schools will be opening a cooling center in Rome. It'll be held at the Impact Center at 207 North James Street. Due to the devastating weather followed by this extreme heat, the building will serve as a cooling station with water, heat relief, and phone charging stations for those who don't have power. The center will be open from 10 this morning until 7 tonight. And of course, stay with News Channel 2 and WKTV.com for the very latest on the devastating storms and now the horrific heat. Now to another deadly story here in our area this weekend. Utica police are investigating how a...
This live look of downtown Cooperstown is brought to you by the Leatherstocking Credit Union.
Welcome back to Sunrise. Time now is 5:13. As you head out to work today, just make sure you have ways to stay hydrated. Number one thing today with the high heat and humidity is you might get dehydrated very easily. A look at the area roadways right now. There were reports of flooding, especially along parts of Route 5 and the thruway as you headed out towards Syracuse. For now, it appears a lot of that is coming to an end. Still, though, there's not an update as to the road closure south of Boonville due to fallen power cables on Route 46. We'll closely follow this and see if this opens soon, or if it's already open. We'll hope to get an update momentarily. But for now, if you have to take that road, maybe find a detour for the time being. A look at the roadways across the region. Well, it's a dry start. It's a warm start. And another thing to add there, too, is very humid. So because of that, there are some areas of patchy fog. In fact, you might be driving out there today and you'll see your windshield fog up due to the amount of humidity out there today. So it's hazy, it's warm, it's foggy to start this afternoon. Hazy, hot, and humid with high temperatures in the 90s, heat index approaching near 100. Gary?
Almost swampy out there this morning.
Very, very.
That's for sure. Eric, thanks. The storms that ripped through central New York caused widespread damage. This is a look at several trees and power lines down in Lee's Center. This is near the Lee's Center Firehouse. Remember, the Red Cross has set up a 24-hour shelter at St. Joseph's Church in Lee's Center. And heading up to Barneveld, the storm took down dozens of trees and power lines there. Route 365, Route 12, and Route 28 all closed for several hours on Sunday. as crews work to clean up the debris there as well. The time right now is 5:50.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning. It is a very warm one out there already, very humid as well, and that's causing some spots to be on the foggy side today. Here's a look inside Rome right now, a live view from the MVCC campus. And as you can see here, some fog mixing in with just hazy conditions. Those dew points are incredibly high today, very tropical in nature. And today's temperatures are going to peak well above average into the low 90s. But I do want to emphasize, again, with that tropical level of humidity, dew points in the mid 70s, a rarity here in our area. We'll see that feels like temperature climb into the low 100s. So this is what we mean when we emphasize that when you add in the humidity, it does feel warmer than what the temperature, the app tells you the temperature will be on your screen. Still, though, if you work outside today, grab those sunglasses, sunscreen, and pack some extra waters. Staying hydrated, number one thing today. Something else to mention, too. You want to avoid the dog walk in the early afternoon. In fact, probably between 9 to maybe 6 or 7 o'clock. With a surface temperature of 90 degrees, as you go up to concrete and asphalt, the temperature could climb to as high as 140 and pause burn at 120. The way I see it, you put your hand on the pavement. If it burns your hand, it burns their paws. So avoid the dog walk until right around or after sunset when that direct sunlight isn't on the pavement anymore. Still, though, feels like temperature climbing into the low 100s today. Tomorrow, another very warm one. Highs feeling like the low 100s again. This will be the last of the very high heat. We head into Wednesday, the heat index will not be nearly as high in the upper 80s to low 90s. Still, though, it's going to be hot and humid until some showers and storms roll through as you look ahead to eventually Wednesday evening. So this is all driven by what's called a heat dome. We've got this area of high pressure from the south dragging in all that heat and humidity into our area. You can see just how incredible some of this heat is with the darker reds here. We usually see this maybe a few times in a summer, and of course we're already seeing it in late June. Following this heat, we'll see these showers and storms roll through from the west right around or after sunset Wednesday evening and beyond. So your 7-day forecast, alert day today and tomorrow for that heat. Of course, there are locations of cooling shelters and other spots that you can find on our website as well that if you are unable to find ways to stay cool. I know there's a lot of outages still, and that was our biggest concern with the storms over the weekend. So again, there's places to go. The community will help out, and again, make sure you stay hydrated.
That's for sure. We'll be hearing that all day for about 2 days.
Yes.
Eric, thanks. The time right now is 5:22. Still, and thank you for joining us for this half hour. I'm Gary Liberatore, and if you are heading out this morning, you may think you are in South Florida. Eric, it is extremely steamy out there already today.
Yeah, that's right. We're already in the low 70s right now. Even in the Mohawk Valley, that humidity is one of the things here we're dealing with. First, let's take a look at what happened. Again, recapping these storms that moved over our area last night. I want to emphasize again that just because there's only one confirmed tornado doesn't mean there could be more embedded, or the fact that there was straight line wind damage. Straight line winds can cause as much or even more damage than tornadoes. These just happen to be isolated with rotating winds. So again, the confirmed EF1 tornado touchdown in Clark Mills, peak winds 105 miles an hour. This one went for over almost 2.5 miles in the area. So again, this is the confirmed tornado touchdown. Survey teams came up yesterday. And again, the main focus today is the fact that there's still outages. It's going to get hot. Very hot today, with heat index values approaching near 100. There's still foggy conditions out there with the amount of humidity in the atmosphere. Everything is very damp out there early today. But Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 live radar shows rain-free conditions. Still, when you head out, expect temperatures to climb into the low 90s. Feels like temperature even higher. We're going to talk about how long this stretch of heat lasts, and when we're going to see a bit of a break coming up in that full forecast. Gary?
Eric, thanks. And don't forget, the Storm Tracker 2 forecast is never more than 10 minutes away each morning. Well, this morning, global tensions rising after the U.S.
This live look of downtown Cooperstown is brought to you by the Leatherstocking Credit Union.
Welcome back to Sunrise. Our photo of the day today takes us into a pretty nice scene here at Pine Lake Park at Pine Lake. A great shot here of someone who was kayaking and was able to pick up a beautiful scene right here. If you have a photo like this you'd like to share with us, showcasing the beauty of Central New York, be sure to include your name and send it to WKTV.com/weather/pics. A lot of great submissions, and it's also a great tool to share storm damage as well. We had a lot of reports, a lot of submissions, and we thank you for the submissions, because what we do is we can relay some of those photos and everything to the National Weather Service. The office that covers us is in Binghamton, so you think it'd probably be difficult for them to come up and address some of these storms. It's good to give them a reason to, and that's why it's always good to send us information we can relate to them, and then they can go make surveys like what they did last night. Still, though, it's very hot the next few days. 90s today and tomorrow. We'll have a look at that heat index, and of course, beyond that, those storms and showers that roll in later on in the week in that full forecast. Gary?
Eric, thanks. As we have mentioned, Sunday's storms were deadly, killing
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning, everybody. Before we get to that forecast, I do just want to take a quick moment to show these names here. And my thoughts are with the friends and families of these individuals during this difficult time. 50-year-old Shelley Johnson of Millstream Court and the two twin sisters, Emily and Kinney. So, again, just want to leave us here for a second. My thoughts are with their families. Today, it's cloudy, at least initially in parts. Right now, it's very humid. It's foggy, and the temperatures are already in the 70s. And we're expecting this to climb into the low 90s today without factoring in that humidity. You've got those dew points in the mid 70s, and you factor all that in, that feels like temperature will be in the low to even mid 100 to 105 range. So today is one of those days where you want to find ways to stay hydrated, especially those of you who work outside. There's a lot of outdoor work this time of year, and of course sometimes you can't just call out if it's hot out. So grab those extra waters, ice cold waters, extra ice, you name it. Just find ways to stay hydrated and stay cool. Hats, sunglasses, and some sunscreen too. It's going to be a very, very hot sun today. And another thing too, with the high temperature, yes, we always talk about how hot it feels for us, but how hot it feels for your furry friends. You've got temperatures on the surface of asphalt approaching 140 degrees. Paws can burn in 1 minute at 140. And just a reminder, if you put your hand in the pavement, if it burns your hand, it'll burn their paws. And just to skip the dog walk until maybe after sunset tonight when there's no more direct sunlight on that pavement. Still today, temperatures climb into the upper 90s, at least those heat index values, to low 100s. Tonight, it will cool down a little bit, still low 70s. Tomorrow, another hot one with heat indexes approaching the hundreds. And then we'll see a slight cool down. It's still going to be warm and humid Wednesday, but we're looking at the mid to upper 80s instead of low 100s. So we've got this stretch of a couple of days. Technically, we need 3 days for an official heat wave. And if we get 2, well, I guess that really won't classify, but still it's going to be hot and humid. We've got this dome, this heat dome moving into our area, this dark red. We see this a couple of times a year. This just happens to arrive early. And in fact, we actually had a stretch of 90 plus last June. So this isn't an extremely uncommon event, but it happens in summertime. And of course, here in our area, we usually see these 100-degree feels like temperatures as well as those 90s. Sometimes it's just 90s with slightly lower humidity. Either way, alert days today and tomorrow. Of course, as Gary mentioned previously, there are spots to pick up dry ice and other locations. If you are still without power, you need to find ways to stay cool. Again, there's a lot of places the community is helping for that. And still, we do cool down a little bit as we had later on this week, but still today and tomorrow, very hot and very humid.
Yeah, definitely dangerous for the seniors for
Yes.
sure as well. Eric, thank you. The time right now is 5:54.
News with Gary Liberatore and meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us here on this Monday. I'm Gary Liberatore.
And I'm Storm Tracker 2 meteorologist Eric Gage.
And a reminder, some schools are closed today due to the power outages and extreme temperatures, while others are dismissing early. We will have those scrolling at the bottom of your screen. But again, as we mentioned earlier on Friday, you were mentioning the possibility of those dangerous storms, and sadly, they definitely were dangerous.
Yeah, especially Friday afternoon, the data I saw coming in, my heart was sinking because with these types of systems, I mentioned what was called an MCS, Organized Cluster of Storms, when they move in, they could either hit us directly and cause a lot of damage, or they could miss us. And it's one of those, big flip-flops there. And unfortunately, the case yesterday was quite the shocking one. And again, look at that tornado that passed through the area. I do want to clarify that with systems like these, there could be straight line wind damage, not tornadic wind, and it could be just as damaging. But this was the official confirmed tornado from a survey team from the Weather Service in Clark Mills. It happened between 3:58 and 4:03, peak winds over 100 miles an hour, and the max width around 300 yards, traveled roughly 2.5 miles. So this was an embedded tornado along a line of thunderstorms, which, as we mentioned, were passing from our north to our south and were incredibly strong, widespread wind damage across the area. And temperatures to start today are in the 70s already. Now, we actually are getting treated to a pretty nice sunrise in Oneonta that you can see here in the distance. We got some areas of fog. It is incredibly humid out there this morning, and along with that humidity, we're going to see those temperatures begin to climb into the low 90s. Feels like temperature approaching 100 degrees. So with the outages and whatnot today, make sure you find ways to stay cool. There are some options available that you can go to for picking up, say, dry ice and whatnot. And Gary, of course, will have more on that coming up in a few minutes. Gary?
Sadly, those storms Sunday morning were deadly.
This live look of downtown Cooperstown is brought to you by the Leatherstocking Credit Union.
Welcome back to Sunrise on this Monday. Time now is 6:14 as you head out to work. Well, it's going to be a warm one, to put it lightly. It's going to be very warm, in fact, hot, hazy, and humid out there. A look at the traffic tracker. There was some flooding reports across parts of, say, Route 5 and, of course, the thruway out towards Syracuse. A lot of that floodwater is receding, but still, there are some reports, for one, of an accident right in the intersection of Route 8 and Route 12 north of Utica near Miller Road. That just came in moments ago. As we zoom out, in fact, up north to Boonville, or at least just south of Boonville. The road reportedly is still closed to fallen power cables on Route 46. Now, this could be open by now, but this is the latest update submitted to us so far. So from Jackson Hill Road to Holmes Road right here on 46, as of now, it appears to still be closed. A look at the roadways at this hour. Still, it's dry with no rain falling, but you might actually need your windshield wipers due to how humid it is outside. The dew is collecting on your windshield as you're driving. Today, it's foggy, it's warm, it's humid. This morning, And as we head to this afternoon, hazy, hot, and humid conditions with high temperature, feels like temperatures approaching the low 100s. Gary?
Feels like Florida, doesn't it?
Very tropical out there, Gary.
Thanks, Eric. And the storms that rip through
Entries from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. and be entered to win a Utica basket. They'll be on site accepting cash, check, or credit card. So come get your Children's Miracle Drawing ticket before they're gone.
Don't let the weather spoil your day. Tune in for the Storm Tracker 2 Commutecast, brought to you by Munson. Visit Munson today and ignite curiosity and creativity. Visiting Munson and the Storm Tracker 2 Commutecast, both free and both Utica's very own. Remember, all roads lead to Munson.
I just have one question for you. Did you get your ticket yet?
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning, everybody, on this Monday. After quite a busy weekend, quite an active weekend, and a tragic weekend, things are still warming up today. It's quiet, peace of mind today. There's no severe weather moving in, but still a heads up, it's going to be very hot and humid. Here's a live look in Rome right now. You can kind of see already how this humidity is affecting our area. We got fog already, pretty widespread in parts of our area, and this will continue to increase as we head throughout the day. Along with it too, those temperatures will continue to climb, going from the 70s into the low 90s. And with that increased level of humidity today, that feels like temperature will be in the low to mid 100s. It's going to be very warm out there today, and make sure you find ways to stay hydrated, especially those of you who can't really stay inside. Those of you who do outdoor work. Sunglasses, sunscreen, hat, typical sun effects there too, but pack as many extra waters as you can, extra ice. Even pack in some water bottles you've put in your freezer to freeze. Those are the tools I use whenever I was working outside in the heat. Melts, and you can use ice cold water after it melts. Still, another thing to mention too, those of you who have your four-legged friends, avoid the dog walk in the early afternoon. Direct sunlight on concrete and asphalt. Look at those temperatures there. If that's hot for you, that's hot for your pets. And I will say this too, with the paw burns taking place about a minute in 140 degrees, if you put your hand on the pavement and it burns your hand, it'll burn their paws. So avoid the dog walk until the late evening after sunset when those surfaces cool down. Heat index today will be in the low 100s to upper 90s. Tonight, we're in the 70s, and then we warm back up again into the upper 90s, low 100s. Then tomorrow night, we're back in the 70s, and then Wednesday won't be nearly as hot. It will still be a very hot and humid day. And technically speaking, we might not get what would be a heat wave, which would be 3 days above 90, but I will say this, if there's 2 days above 90 and there's a warmer day following that, I'll grandfather it in as a heat wave. We've got this high heat, this heat dome moving in today and tomorrow. Storm potential moves in as we head into late Wednesday and overnight as things turn a little more unsettled but slightly cooler. Still though, for the short term, it's a quiet but very warm and very humid stretch today and tomorrow. And make sure you're, again, the key here, stay hydrated. You want to make sure you're not dehydrated in a time like this.
Yeah, definitely a dangerous time for many folks.
Yes.
Eric, thanks. Be sure to like us on Facebook. And once again, and thank you for joining us for this half hour. And if you are heading out this morning, well, you might think you're living in South Florida. Eric, this is definitely what it feels like down in South Florida, pretty much 6 months out of the year.
Oh yeah, not only the heat, but the humidity. It feels very humid out. Air you can wear, pretty much is a lack of a better term. But before we get to that, though, we do want to quickly recap what took place last night, again, or I should say Sunday morning. The confirmed tornado path. Here's a look at where it is, or where it took place. It went through parts of Clark Mills. You can see the wind damage right here. It might be difficult if you can see it on your TV screen here, but there's purple, or I should say blue and green triangles. The blue indicates EF0 damage, green indicates EF1. And as you can see here, there's plenty of both of these indications indicating it was an EF1 tornado, and of course it moved south toward Route 5 to Kirkland Ave, and eventually it lifted. And the strength here, 105 miles an hour. It took place at 3:58 to 4:03 in the morning. So this is well into the overnight, and these are the ones we lose sleep over ourselves. Anything that happens overnight, which is difficult to get information out. But either way, again, today it's a warm start, humid start. Clouds have moved into Oneonta. It's a foggy morning in parts of the area, but the radar is indicating dry conditions out there early today. So when you head out, it's going to be humid to start. It's going to be hazy, hot, and humid this afternoon. We'll peak in the low 90s, but the heat index will be even warmer. We're tracking that, plus what we can expect for how long this lasts in that full forecast. Gary?
Eric, thanks. And don't forget, the Storm Tracker 2 forecast is never more than 10 minutes away each morning. Well, this morning, global tensions are...
Storm Tracker 2 team, where we track storms. This live look of downtown Cooperstown is brought to you by the Leatherstocking Credit Union.
Welcome back to Sunrise. On our photo of the day today takes us to a beautiful scene in what appears to be a lake, Pine Lake, but the person who submitted this photo said the scenery while he was kayaking was breathtaking, especially on Saturday. Even though it was hot, it was a pretty dry day, all things considered. So shout out to those of you watching from the Pine Lake Park area. And if you have a photo like this you'd like to share with us, send it to WKTV.com/weather/pics. So after a pretty active weekend, we got that heat moving in today and tomorrow. Even Wednesday, we're in the mid-80s. It will feel pretty warm and pretty humid there before some storms roll in, early shower storms roll in the evening. So we're tracking the heat index today and tomorrow, plus when that rain arrives later on in the week in that full forecast. Gary?
Eric, thanks. Sunday storms were dead.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning, everybody. On this Monday, unfortunately, what happened over the weekend affected not only three amazing people, but also the lives that were affected surrounding these people. So again, I just want to put these names on the screen here for a couple of seconds just to remember their names. And the words just I can't put into perspective the words I have right now. So again, just a few seconds here to give them the publicity they deserve for what happened. So the storms that took place the weekend is just hard to really explain, and it's one of the hardest parts of our job, especially when it comes to talking about these types of storms and the fact that they can be deadly and weather can be deadly, and just awful, awful circumstances. As we head throughout the day today, we're going to be dealing with some more heat. And so again, those of you who are still without power, if you're watching this online or whatnot, still it's going to be very, very warm, very humid, and make sure you find ways to stay cool and stay hydrated. The dew points, the humidity is very high. The feels-like temperature will be in the low 100s. So it's going to be a very warm one out there today, especially for those of you who work outside and you can't really escape the heat. Pack some extra waters, ice packs, ice waters, anything to make sure you're finding ways to stay cool in the heat today. And another thing I want to emphasize too, when it comes to your pets, if you're planning on taking a dog walk this afternoon, hold off on it. If we got temperatures above 90 near the surface, you see here, concrete asphalt could climb to 125, as high as 140, and paws can burn at 1 minute at 140 degrees. And my rule of thumb is if you put your hand on the pavement and it burns your hand or it's too hot to the touch, it's too hot for your four-legged friend. So hold off on the dog walk until after sunset when the direct sunlight isn't on those pavement surfaces anymore. Heat index today, upper 90s, low 100s. Tomorrow, we've got the same story. Upper 90s, low 100s. We got 2 days straight of high heat and humidity. On Wednesday, it's still going to be very warm and humid and won't be nearly as hot as today and tomorrow, but still it's going to be incredibly hot. And just as the stretch moves on, find ways to stay cool and hydrated. So here comes that surge, that high pressure, that dome of high pressure, which will usher in all that high heat and humidity. As we head into Wednesday, we'll see this approaching low pressure begin to bring with it the chance for a few showers and thunderstorms. So again, today and tomorrow, you got high heat, you got high humidity. We cool down a little bit by the end of the week. Increased rain and storm chances for now. They don't appear to be anything severe. We'll closely monitor that, though, as we head throughout the remainder of the week. But again, today, it's very hot out, very humid, and you find ways to stay hydrated. I keep saying it, but it's something you already want to stress on days like today.
Yeah, use common sense today for sure.
Yes.
Eric, thank you. The Oklahoma City Thunder.
News with Gary Liberatore.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I'm Gary Liberatore.
And I'm Storm Tracker 2 meteorologist Eric Gage.
And it does seem like the humidity is rising along with the temperature today.
Yeah, continue to climb. In fact, out in Syracuse, even Albany, over 100 with that feels like temperature. We're right on the cusp of it. A look outside in downtown Utica. It is a sunny one out there, but a hot one nonetheless. Officially, on paper, 88-degree temperature, but we've got this incredibly high humidity. Dew point is 75, about as humid as it gets in our area. Tropical levels feels like 98 degrees out. It is very warm and very humid. Across the state, we've got a 104-degree heat index in Glens Falls, 102 in Syracuse. We are on the cusp of it in the Mohawk Valley, 98 in Rome, 93 in Hamilton, even 92 in Saranac Lake. The Adirondacks are not out of the woods with this heat. The radar, it's actually dry, but it's so incredibly humid out there that some of the clouds are picking up as a radar scan indicating rainfall. So again, today it's entirely dry, entirely hot, with feels like temperatures remaining in the low 100s for the next 4 to 5 hours. By tonight, we'll cool down to the 70s. Another hot day tomorrow. We're talking a bit more about when you can walk your dog, the correct time for that, plus the latest on that tornado that went through Clark Mills and a recap of that storm over the weekend and that full forecast. Gary?
Eric, thanks. Sadly, that tornado that Eric is talking about was deadly. 3 people, including twin 6-year-old.
Children's Miracle Drawing ticket in person. Wednesday, July 2nd at Chenantries from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. and be entered to win a Utica basket. They'll be on site accepting cash, check, or credit card. So come get your Children's Miracle Drawing ticket before they're gone.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
The heat is on for parts of the area already. Temperatures climbing, or soaring at least, into the upper 90s with that heat index. I do want to recap, though, what took place this weekend, now that I had the time to. And to start, this is the damage path of the tornado that went through Clark Mills. And the path made it through Clark Mills itself, south of Route 5, through parts of Kirkland Ave, and then eventually it lifted. And it was an EF1 tornado. It happened just before 4 a.m. and until right after 4 a.m. and it was on the ground for almost 2.5 miles. So here's the path here, and this was parts of what's called an NCS, Mesoscale Convective System. I mentioned this last week. the potential for this to form. And unfortunately, the worst case scenario happened. My gut feeling that happened here. And this type of tornado, similar to the Rome tornado, was in an embedded line of thunderstorms. See this right here? This is not a typical supercell storm. This is an organized cluster of storms, a lot of embedded rotation here, and it was bowing as it pushed south. Incredible amounts of strength in this storm here, and also the reason why there's not a whole lot of lead time with tornado warnings with these types of systems. So even though there are tornado possible severe thunderstorm warnings, that means at any point a tornado could spin up when that passed south. And that was a case that happened on Sunday morning. And a reminder, on our Storm Tracker 2 app, right early in the morning, here are those warnings sent right to your phone, life-saving information right in your fingertips. You can download it right here. It's something that we really try to emphasize, especially in severe weather season, especially with a system like that happened overnight. Very dangerous time for severe weather to take place. Now today, on top of that, we also have that heat. We got high temperatures feeling like the low 100s until roughly 5, 6, 7 p.m. And on top of that, a reminder, hold off on that dog walk until after sunset. Concrete and asphalt could climb to between 125 to 140 degrees. If it burns your hand, if you can't walk barefoot on that sidewalk, neither can your pets. Your paws could burn as well. So again, we've got a very hot day today, another very hot day tomorrow with high temperatures, or feels like temperatures, climbing into the 100s again. And then as this heat dome continues to shift its way to the east, we'll see this begin to break down the very high heat until just its very warm conditions with a few passing showers and thunderstorms heading into Thursday and Friday. So again, alert day today and tomorrow. Make sure you find ways to stay cool and hydrated. We're going to cool down a little bit Thursday and Friday, 70s with some passing thunderstorms. Again, it is very hot and very humid out there already, Gary, today. We have another one on the way tomorrow with that heat.
Yeah, definitely take precautions, especially if you're seniors, for
Yes.
sure. Eric, thanks. Well, it's not just us, though. Tens of millions of people across the East and Midwest are dealing with these dangerously hot temperatures. NBC's Emily Ikeda has more now from Philadelphia.
Well, the National Weather Service posting today, we simply cannot stress this enough. It will be dangerously hot over the next 3 days, and we can see why as we've been watching the temperature climb by the hour. Here in Philadelphia, we could see triple-digit temperatures for the first time in more than a decade, and Pennsylvanians are far from alone in facing this brutal heat. Some 150 million Americans are up against heat alerts throughout the day. It's why we're seeing some cities turn libraries into cooling centers. Splash pads like the one behind me are having extended hours so people can take refuge from this brutal heat, as dozens of cities could break new heat temperature records throughout the day. And it's a brutal heat that is hanging on. Over the weekend, we saw several Major League Baseball players suffer heat-related illnesses, including Trent Thornton with the Seattle Mariners, who had to be walked off the field after suffering heat exhaustion. And on scorchers like this, remember, the shade is your friend. If possible, you want to park your car close to a tree. Keep those blinds closed inside your home. City officials here are pointing out that in conditions like these, it takes just 2 minutes for the interior of your vehicle, if turned off, to reach unsafe temperatures. And this is a heat that will linger, that will be hanging on. Here in Philadelphia, for instance, the heat health emergency is in effect through Wednesday evening. Back to you.
NBC's Emily Ikeda reporting from Philadelphia. Coming up, get ready to stay cool today and tomorrow. Good afternoon once again, and thank you for joining us for this half hour. And Eric, boy, as we mentioned earlier, it seems like that humidity is rising as the temperatures are rising.
Yeah, I mean, the screen alone is just giving off some heat as it is. I mean, it's already in the hundreds in Syracuse, hundreds in the Hudson Valley. Let's take that full screen here. You can see just how hot some of these spots are here in parts of upstate New York. In fact, we're right on the cusp of it in the Mohawk Valley, 98 in Rome. Even in the 90s, and as you head up into the Adirondacks, Saranac Lake at a balmy 92 degrees. The cold pocket of air sits actually at around Buffalo and Watertown, and this is actually more so due to the vicinity near the Great Lakes than anything. Or farther away, of course, the Hudson Valley. Very warm, already in the 104-degree range early today. The radar is picking up on some moisture. This is really not rain at all. It's so incredibly humid out there. The radar is picking up on that moisture in the atmosphere. So today, temperatures already approaching 100 degrees. That feels like temperature approaching 100 degrees. And we cool down into the 70s tonight. Very warm overnight. Another very hot day tomorrow. We're going to, again, recap what took place over the weekend and, again, when you can safely take the dog out for a walk tonight in that full forecast. Gary?
Eric, thanks. The storms that ripped through central New York early Sunday.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good afternoon. Quite a hot one out there already. Temperatures continuing to soar in the upper 90s, low 100s. But recapping the busy weekend, active weekend, and unfortunately tragic weekend, the tornado that ripped through parts of Clark Mills. This is the path of the tornado right here, and it impacted Clark Mills, parts of Kirkland Ave, and then lifted off the ground in the span of a few minutes between 3:58 and 4:03 in the morning. Peak wind gusts 105 miles an hour, and here's the path right here. And a reminder, this tornado was embedded in a line of thunderstorms from an MCS, an organized cluster of thunderstorms. In a system like this, it doesn't matter if what you saw, if what the damage you got was from a tornado or straight line winds. The damage is devastating. This type of system coming in from the northwest with that incredible amount of shear, with all that instability, all that heat, all that moisture, the bowing that took place, a lot of damage regardless of tornadic classification. There could have been more embedded tornadoes in the line. Might not even be surveyed. Again, there's a lot of damage with this system, and it takes a lot of resources for the Weather Service in Binghamton to come all the way up and survey these instances. But either way, regardless of classification, these winds were just relentless. And this system passed through in one of the worst times you could have it pass through, overnight. And that's the hardest part. During the weekend, overnight, very difficult to let you know what's going on when a lot of you guys might even be sleeping at that time. Again, a great tool to have, the Storm Tracker 2 weather app. These are the warnings sent out to our app at the time. You can download it right here by scanning that QR code. Stuff like this will be notified to you. If you have your alerts on, your location on, it will alert you in the middle of the night of those warnings. So today, we're in the 90s, feels like temperature even hotter, into the low 100s. It is very hot and very humid out there today, and unfortunately, it doesn't help that there's still lots of outages, but thankfully the community is coming together. There's a lot of local places, churches, libraries, community services that are helping out and offering places with air conditioning you can cool down, places giving out dry ice, cold water. This is a unique part of Central New York. This community comes together in times like this. I do want to clarify, though, this afternoon, hold off on that dog walk. Make sure your furry friends stay off the pavement. Concrete and asphalt could climb as high as 125 to 140 degrees in these temperatures. So if it's too hot for your bare feet, it's too hot for their paws. Today's heat index climbing into the low 100s. Same thing for tomorrow. We got another hot one in store for us. Then the brunt of the heat wave begins to shift to our south. We won't be nearly as hot. It'll still be hot and humid on Wednesday, and then rain showers and maybe a few thunderstorms roll through in the late evening heading into Thursday morning. Just a heads up, though, this is not expected to be anything like what took place Saturday night into Sunday morning. So your 7-day forecast, still incredibly hot and humid the next couple of days. Nothing really record-setting at this time. I mean, some of the records stand in the upper 90s regardless of the heat index. So we're still out of bounds of some of that, but it's still very warm, very humid out there. And Gary, number one thing, stay hydrated.
And get to Addison Miller or Buckley Pool this afternoon to cool down,
Yes,
right?
cool off in some pools.
Eric, thanks. Well, the record-breaking temperatures that...
With Kristen Copeland and Jason Palace.
Almost 1 year after a tornado hit the city of Rome, the small community of Clark Mills falls victim to one. 3 people, including 2 children, were killed early yesterday morning.
And the Oneida County remains in a state of emergency. It is your top story tonight. Several of the fallen trees were removed from the Millgate Meadows mobile home park today. The National Weather Service determined it was an EF1 tornado that struck with winds up to 100 miles per hour. 6-year-old twin sisters Emily and Kenny Bison were killed after a tree sliced through their Hoyland Avenue home. Their mother was rescued by a neighbor. A short distance away on Millstream Court, 50-year-old Shelley Johnson was killed after her home was hit by a falling tree. In the hours since the tornado, the community has come together. News Channel 2's Ben Kinney is live in Clark Mills with more on the outpouring of support.
Kristen, Jason, good evening. It's said that in times of tragedy, you can really get a sense of just how close a community is. And that's holding true here in Clark Mills as crews work on clearing up the streets of the debris and getting power back on. The fire department has opened their doors for a place to go. Members of the Clark Mills Fire Department have had little sleep since Sunday morning's tornado.
Myself and as my members, we are very exhausted. You know, we just had our annual field days this past week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Waking up Sunday morning to this tragic event, we're just feeling very, very exhausted at this time.
Despite that, they opened their doors to members of the community who remained without power. Volunteers from National Grid were there handing out dry ice and water.
We're all in this together. We love to get out and help the community. You know, when we have these events and these situations that arise, staff really enjoy coming out, interacting, assisting folks. You know, we're happy to carry things to your car if needed, if you need that assistance. And just having that presence and that human interaction is very valuable.
Sometimes even the people who help others need help. And the community has stepped up.
We've had, you know, just random people in the community drop off water to us, Gatorade, ice, people would donate. Mike Wally at Hot Off the Brick, he's been feeding us yesterday and he's brought us subs and food today.
That help makes them very grateful.
Oh, it's love. The community is just wonderful. I don't have any words to explain it. It's outstanding.
And dry ice distribution is wrapping up for the night here in Clark Mills. However, National Grid sent us an email just a short time ago to tell us that they opened 2 other distribution locations, one in Oneida County, one in Madison County. In Oneida County, that's going to be in Rome next to Veterans Park. That one's going to run until 7:30. In Canastota, the distribution center there is at the VFW post 600. That one running until 7 as well. They are going to be releasing the schedule for tomorrow's distribution later on tonight. We'll be sure to bring that to you online. Again, if you'd like to donate food or water to the fire department, the chief asks that you message them on Facebook or give them a call at the number on your screen, 315-853-3117. For now, reporting in Clark Mills, Ben Kinney, News Channel 2. Kristen, Jason?
Hey, Ben, thank you. Well, National Grid has restored power to a significant number of homes. More than 12,000 are still in the dark and heat in Oneida County, mostly Kirkland, Rome, Westmoreland. In Herkimer County, more than 3,200 homes, Russia and Ohio areas hit the hardest. And in Madison County, more than 1,700. We're going to take you to Oneida at the bottom of the hour, where they are dealing with not only power outages, but extreme flooding as well.
Starting tomorrow and every day this week, the Oneida County Departments of Health, Mental Health and Family, and Community Services will be out in the community. Staff will be at 2 locations, the Kirkland Senior Center and the Connected Community Schools in Rome. This is for anyone needing assistance. More than that, the County and Community Foundation have established a recovery fund for storm victims.
This will be to help residents offset some of their expenses and those that do not qualify for government assistance services. Again, we'll replicate the up to $5,000 for things such as insurance deductibles, electrical hookups, securing homes, relocation costs, moderate repairs, tree removal, dumpster rentals. This was very effective as we worked in the city of Rome last year.
Oneida County has also set up a helpline. It's 315-798-5502. It'll be open 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. each day this week.
All right, let's get you caught up on the forecast with meteorologist James DeFazio in for Bill. I mean, it was an intense storm. Again, not just the tornado that hit Clark Mills, but the widespread damage.
Widespread.
Yeah.
Absolutely widespread. It was region-wide, whether you dealt with flooding or you saw wind damage. Almost all of us were affected by this in some capacity, and we're still seeing the ramifications of this. While the creeks have crested, we're still seeing flooding that we'll be showing you later in Oneida that is still significant. We've got the details of the tornado survey now. Max winds 105 miles per hour, only 6 miles per hour shy of that being an EF2 tornado, an indication of just how strong it was. And speaking of how many people are out without power, these are the current heat index values. This is what it feels like outside right now. About 100 degrees, so it's really, really unfortunate that there are people out there without air conditioning this evening. Mostly sunny skies and dry conditions continue tonight. Dry on your Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 live radar. 92 degrees up in Rome. We hit at 93 a little while ago. Very, very high levels of humidity, making that heat index all the way up at 99 degrees at Griffiths. It is a warm night and a good night to have air conditioning if you do have it. It's going to be a rough night for sleep for those without power. Lows tonight are only going to be in the low to mid 70s. Coming up, we'll track just how warm we're going to get yet again tomorrow. Jason, Kristen?
All right, thank you, sir. Continuing coverage tonight on a homicide at the Riverview Lodge.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired.
Good Monday evening. We remain in alert mode as a heat advisory remains in effect through Wednesday due to dangerously hot and humid conditions. Heat index values as high as 100 to 105 across central New York and the Mohawk Valley this afternoon and early evening, which are very dangerous levels, basically stifling levels of heat for our area in central New York, especially with the 100% humidity that we're dealing with, these high dew points. Current temperature in downtown Utica, 92 degrees with mostly sunny skies. We're still in the low 90s. And yes, this heat advisory continues through Wednesday afternoon. Wednesday's not going to be quite as hot as tomorrow, but it doesn't expire until Wednesday evening. Heat index values again tomorrow around 100 degrees, and then showers and thunderstorms make their return on Wednesday and settle in for the remainder of the week. Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 live radar. All is quiet and dry across central New York, and that is going to continue tonight and through the day tomorrow. Taking a look at current local temperatures, some areas creeping up now, upper 90s. Little Falls just ticked up to 98 degrees within the last couple of minutes. Some of us a little bit cooler, dropping down now across in the North Country down into the upper 80s. 92 and sunny in Rome with a 9-mile-per-hour breeze. Tropical levels of humidity creating a 99-degree feel-like temperature. It is incredibly warm out. You're Clinton, dangerously warm. Your Clinton tractor and implement mowcast. Tomorrow, a dry day, opportunity to get the lawn cut, but it is dangerously hot, so be careful of doing so. Hydrate yourself. On Wednesday, showers look to come later in the day, so you'd have an opportunity in the first half of the day to get the lawn cut. Thursday, looking rather wet, looking like you're going to be unable to get the lawn cut on Thursday. Calm, dry conditions continue into the overnight. It is not a great night for sleep. Lows tonight only in the low to mid 70s. Very, very warm. We're close to 80 degrees still at midnight tonight. Tomorrow we warm right back up into the mid 90s, and it's another very warm evening tomorrow night with another very warm evening tomorrow night and a very warm night yet again. Wednesday, another warm day, but not quite as hot. Highs only into the upper 80s as opposed to mid 90s. Tomorrow, though, mid-90s, hot, sunny, heat advisory continues. Your 7-day forecast. We remain in alert mode for that heat and humidity through tomorrow. Showers and thunderstorms begin to develop overnight Tuesday into Wednesday. Shower chances return on Wednesday afternoon. And they continue into the second half of the work week. We're really settling into that summer-like pattern where we have a lot of heat and humidity in the atmosphere, and we are at risk of pop-up showers almost more days than not over the next 5. But fortunately, tomorrow is going to be completely dry.
All right. James, thank you.
As summer temperatures and some commonly prescribed medications can make your body a little bit more susceptible to the sun.
Mandy Gaither has more on which medications don't mix well with heat.
High temperatures, heat, and humidity can all affect the body, but some medications can pose an added danger.
People are doing their errands, they're overheated, they don't feel well, and they can get really heat exhausted pretty quickly. Meds can have a significant impact.
The CDC says some medications interfere with the body's ability to regulate temperature, making it harder to cool down and increases sun sensitivity to the skin. Some medicine can also make a person more vulnerable to the heat by affecting the body's hydration, says Dr. Jesse Bracamonte with Mayo Clinic.
In some cases, if you're not hydrating in certain meds, it can make you feel lightheaded and dizzy and nauseated. So it's really important to stay hydrated.
The CDC says medications that don't mix well with the heat include anticholinergics, some antidepressants and antipsychotics, antihistamines, beta blockers, diuretics, antibiotics, and antifungals. The heat can also degrade or damage some medications, including insulin, inhalers, and EpiPens. Bracamonte says to make sure they're being stored properly.
You don't want to leave any medications in the heat.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Coming up, News Channel 2's Thomas Tellerino is live at Utica University. Schools in the city of Utica are now open, with the exception of one. Youth Bureau Recreation Director says they're kicking off the hottest day of the year with opening the pools a little bit early. And it worked out because schools released early because of the heat. Addison and Buckley pools are open from 1 to 5 every day. The director says the pools, along with the other Bureau programs, give kids a lot to do, and he talked about why these programs are important.
Just to keep the kids busy and off the streets, give them an opportunity to interact with other youth and basically stay out of trouble. So some of these kids don't start playing sports right away, and I think these programs allow these kids to start earlier. And we give them free lessons, free golf lessons, basketball, tennis, and soccer lessons. And again, it's interacting with other youth.
Seymour Pool had to have a part replaced and storm debris cleaned out, but it will open tomorrow.
Let's get you over to meteorologist James DeFazio on this alert day.
Yes, we remain in alert mode due to this extreme heat and humidity, and this heat advisory remains in effect through Wednesday. We're still seeing temperatures in the Mohawk Valley right now in the mid-90s. We haven't hit 95 degrees yet in Rome, but that is the record high today, and we're going to be keeping an eye on that over the next couple of hours to see if we can get the temperature to climb up a degree or two before the sun begins to set. We did hit 93 degrees earlier today, but it's currently 92 up in Rome. But that feel-like temperature with the humidity factored in, 99 degrees, incredibly warm. And it's going to be an incredibly warm evening. It doesn't cool off too much tonight. Still 78 degrees in Utica at 11 p.m. this evening. Unfortunately, tomorrow, this heat and humidity continues. Highs yet again in the mid-90s. Slightly cooler Wednesday. We finally begin to get some relief from the heat wave on Wednesday afternoon and Thursday morning. The heat advisory continues through Wednesday. Heat index values again tomorrow right around 100 degrees. And then shower and storm chances make their return on Wednesday for several days. And we're going to be tracking that coming right up. Jason, Kristen?
All right, thank you, James. The 8th annual A Call to Men
Miracle Drawing Ticket in person, Wednesday, July 2nd at Chenantries from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. and be entered to win a Utica basket. They'll be on site accepting cash, check, or credit card. So come get your children's Miracle Drawing Ticket before they're gone.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired.
Good Monday evening. We remain in alert mode for extreme heat and humidity across central New York. A heat advisory remains in effect through tonight, through Tuesday, and into the day on Wednesday. It will expire Wednesday evening. Until then, we are going to continue to experience hot, humid conditions and dangerously high heat index values through tomorrow. 92 degrees currently in downtown Utica, mostly sunny skies, very, very hot out there. It is very, very warm. If you can't avoid the dog walk tonight, I would recommend doing so. It's just too warm on the pavement, unfortunately. This heat advisory expires Wednesday evening. Even though Wednesday is going to be slightly cooler, it does continue through Wednesday. Heat index values again tomorrow are going to be right around the 100-degree mark or slightly above it yet again. And shower and storm changes return on Wednesday, and they're going to be around for several days after that. We're settling into a very summer-like pop-up storm-like pattern. Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 live radar, dry, quiet, and calm, and it will stay that way tonight and into the day and through the day on Tuesday. Local temperatures, some areas still in the mid-90s, 96 degrees in Little Falls, a little bit cooler in the North Country, across the North Country, northern Herkimer County in the mid-80s, but many of us still seeing low to mid-90 degree weather at this hour, and it's going to continue into the evening hours. 92 degrees with sunny skies, tropical levels of humidity making the heat index the feel-like temperature 99 degrees. Incredibly uncomfortable, stifling air, and that's going to continue this evening. It's going to take a while for it to cool down, and it doesn't really cool down all that much. Your Clinton Tractor and Implement Mowcast, tomorrow's a dry day. Good opportunity to get the lawn cut if you can handle and brave the heat. Definitely hydrate if you do so. On Wednesday, showers arrive during the afternoon. You'd have a chance to get the lawn cut during the first half of the day. Thursday looking like a wet day. Very, very dry and calm conditions continue into the overnight, but it doesn't cool off very much. Lows tonight are only going to be in the low to mid 70s. Tomorrow, it wastes no time warming up. We shoot right up through the 80s in the morning, right up into the mid 90s through the afternoon hours, and it's another very warm evening. By by Tuesday night, midnight Wednesday, we're still at 75 degrees, so very warm weather. Tomorrow, hot, sunny, dangerously hot heat index values in the afternoon, highs around 94 degrees. 7-day forecast, we remain in alert mode through tomorrow due to this heat advisory, which expires Wednesday evening. Showers and storms return on Wednesday, and then shower and storm chances settle in for several days. We're going to see rounds of pop-up showers and storms. We're settling into that humid air mass where we're in that pattern where storms are just going to fire up here and there sporadically, but no major washouts at this time, no severe weather on the horizon at this time. We'll be right back.
Not only the storm, but the heat with meteorologist James DeFazio.
Yes, we remain in alert mode due to this heat and humidity and the heat advisory that remains in effect. But let's talk about what happened this morning, or yesterday morning, I should say. The tornado touched down right in the eastern portion of Clark Mills. It really tore through most of the village, and then it started to move more southward towards Kirkland, and then it lifted about a mile north of the village of Clinton. And unfortunately, winds were as high as 105 miles per hour. That's only 6 miles per hour shy of this being an EF2, so it was a very strong EF1 tornado. Heat index values at this time continue to be incredibly warm, at or near 100 degrees across central New York. Mostly sunny and very hot across downtown Utica. Dry weather continues tonight on your Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 live radar. We're tracking dry, hot, humid weather to continue tonight. 93 now up at Griffiths. We'll see if we can get to 95 degrees, which is the record high for today. Tropical levels of humidity, feel-like temperature, an even century mark, 100 degrees. It's going to be a very warm night. By midnight, we're still in the upper 70s to near 80 degrees. It's going to be an uncomfortable night for sleep without any air conditioning. Coming up, we're going to take a look at just how warm we're going to stay as this heat advisory continues, as well as the showers that bring an end to that heat. Jason, Kristen?
All right, James, thank you. Continuing coverage on a homicide.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired.
Good Monday evening. We remain in alert mode, and an alert day continues through Tuesday as hot, humid conditions continue to settle in across central New York, and the heat advisory extended all the way through the day on Wednesday. While we're only going to see temperatures up into the 90s for tonight and tomorrow, that heat advisory doesn't expire until Wednesday evening. Up to 93 degrees now in downtown Utica with mostly sunny skies, a heat index of 100 degrees. Very, very hot, stifling, humid air out there tonight. Heat advisory continues through Wednesday, then things begin to come down to earth in terms of temperature. Heat index values tomorrow, yet again, right around 100 or slightly above 100 during the peak heat hours of the afternoon. And then shower and storm chances return on Wednesday, and they're going to be around for several days. We're in a summer-like pattern where we're going to see rounds of pop-up storms for a couple consecutive days. Your Full Battery Storm Tracker 2 live radar. Dry weather across the radar, and dry weather continues tonight and tomorrow. Temperatures across the area, some of us still in the mid-90s. Very, very, very hot. Very, very warm air. We haven't quite hit the record high, which is 95 at Griffiths yet. We've hit 93. We'll see if we can get there before the sun begins to set in the next couple of hours. 93 degrees with sunny skies, a 71-degree dew point, tropical levels of humidity. That creates a feel-like temperature of 100 degrees. Incredibly warm and actually dangerously warm, which is why the heat advisory is in effect. Keep an eye on your loved one, or your loved ones, your older folks, your elderly neighbors, and your pets, your furry friends as well. MoCast. Couldn't get the lawn cut tomorrow, completely dry day. Showers return the second half of Wednesday, and Thursday looks quite wet as well. Very warm evening and a very warm start to the overnight tonight, and temperatures unfortunately don't drop down too much. Lows tonight only in the low to mid 70s. Tomorrow wastes no time warming up. Temperatures shoot right up through the 80s in the morning. We're into the 90s throughout the entirety of the afternoon. Excuse me, highs right around 95 degrees. Tomorrow night, again, a very, very warm night. It takes a while to cool down, and temperatures are going to be in the 70s throughout the overnight. Tomorrow, highs in the mid-90s, hot and sunny. That heat advisory continues. We continue to see very, very dangerously hot weather. That begins to come to an end on Wednesday. Showers and storms Wednesday afternoon bring us back down a little bit cooler. We still are warm on Wednesday, highs in the mid to upper 80s, but we drop down on Thursday back into the upper 70s, and then we settle into a summer-like pattern. We're taking some what's the word I'm looking for? We're picking up on some of the Florida weather with how our weather's been the last couple of days, and we're going to have some Florida-like
humid
weather.
storms.
Exactly.
Pop-up
storms, yes. And not washout days, but not enough for me to put dry up icons on there.
But it will
either.
dry fast once it happens.
Exactly.
All right, thank you, James. Still to come on News Channel 2? Yep, it's a Storm Tracker 2 alert day because of the heat we're dealing with. Meteorologist James DeFazio in for Bill tonight. The heat index numbers are just ridiculous from today.
It's absurd. When you get the dew points up above 75, you get these insane heat index values. And these are numbers that we don't typically see around here. Again, the record high today was 95 degrees. We hit 93 degrees in Rome. So we're right near record levels of heat with maximum humidity. We hit 104 degrees at the Westmoreland Mezzanine Station, 101 degrees at Griffiths for feel-like temperatures, and still at this hour, many areas in the low to mid 80s for current feel-like temperatures out there. Calm, clear, but warm across downtown Utica right now, and humid conditions continue. Dry weather continues overnight tonight and continues into the day tomorrow, as does this heat. 78 degrees with clear skies, calm winds, a high dew point, tropical humidity, feel like temperature above 80 degrees even at this hour after 10 p.m. Tonight, lows very warm, around 73 degrees, mostly clear skies, and yes, it's going to be warm and humid overnight. Coming up, we're going to take a look at just how warm we're going to get on Tuesday and when this heat finally breaks. Jason?
All right, James, thank you. Some schools close.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired.
Good Monday evening. We remain in alert mode through the night tonight, through the day tomorrow, due to extremely high levels of heat and humidity, dangerous levels of heat and humidity, heat indexes during the peak hours of the afternoon around 100 degrees, dangerous levels of heat and humidity. Currently, still 78 degrees, even though we're after 10 p.m., mostly clear skies across downtown Utica, very humid but dry. Heat advisory continues through the day on Wednesday. Wednesday's cooler than Tuesday, but still warm. Heat index values again tomorrow, yet again right around 100 degrees or slightly higher. Showers and storm chances return on Wednesday, and they return for several days. We're going to see several consecutive days with chances for pop-up showers. Your Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 live radar is quiet. All is dry out there. It's hard to even find a cloud tonight out there across central New York. Local temperatures at this hour, we're still in the mid to upper 70s across central New York. Very, very warm weather for this hour, and it's just an incredibly humid air mass as well. 78 degrees with clear skies in Rome. We hit a high of 93 degrees at Rome today, 2 degrees shy of the record high. Tropical levels of humidity with a 73-degree dew point. The feel-like temperature is still above 80 degrees at this hour. Your Clinton Tractor and Implement Mowcast, a dry day tomorrow. You'd have the opportunity to get your lawn cut if you would like, but if you're going to do so, make sure that you hydrate because it is going to be dangerously hot out during the afternoon hours. Wednesday, showers arrive late in the day, but you'd have the opportunity to get the lawn cut during the first half of the day. Excuse me, during the first half of the day, and then on Thursday, we're looking at rounds of showers, and I don't advise trying to get the lawn cut on Thursday. Taking a look at the Skycast for tonight, you can see dry conditions persist, but temperatures don't really drop much at all. Lows tonight in the low to mid 70s, and tomorrow morning temperatures skyrocket. We warm right up through the 80s during the morning hours. We're at 90 degrees by midday, and we're in the mid 90s for the entirety of the afternoon. As we head into the evening hours, we're still in the low 90s, and we slowly drop in temperature, but it stays warm. It's a warm evening. Midnight tomorrow night, yet again, we're still at 75 degrees. Tomorrow, high right around 94 degrees, hot and sunny. Hot and humid conditions continue. That we have this alert day in effect because this heat advisory continues through Wednesday afternoon. As we get into the second half of Wednesday, the heat and humidity begin to break. Showers and storms develop Wednesday evening. Showers and storms continue Thursday and Friday with slightly cooler temperatures. Warmer weather makes its return for the second half of the weekend and the beginning of next week.
And we're talking about an alert day, and it's not because of storms, but because of the extreme heat that we're dealing with. We had it today, and it's coming again tomorrow.
Yep, another one just equally as hot tomorrow. It looks equally as hot. We got up into the mid-90s today. Heat index today all the way up into the low hundreds. Griffiths hit 101 as the peak heat index today with a max high of 93 degrees. We're expecting very similar conditions yet again tomorrow. Another very hot day on tap. It's still very hot out there right now. It still feels like the upper 70s, low 80s across central New York. It's mostly clear, but things aren't really cooling down all that much. It's very warm and very humid out across central New York. Dry weather continues on your Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 live radar, and it will stay dry through the day tomorrow. 76 degrees with clear skies in Rome, a dew point of 73 degrees, making for tropical levels of humidity. Very, very warm night. Lows tonight only going to be around 73 degrees, mostly clear skies, but it is going to stay quite warm. Coming up, we're going to take a look at when this heat finally comes to an end. Jason?
All right, thank you, sir. Some schools closed early today.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired.
Good Monday evening. We remain in alert mode through tonight and through Tuesday due to dangerous levels of heat and humidity. We're going to see heat index values back in excess of 100 tomorrow. It's going to be stifling and dangerously hot during tomorrow afternoon. Still very warm overnight tonight, 76 degrees right now. It's after 11 p.m. and it's still very warm, mostly clear, but very warm across downtown Utica and humid. The heat advisory remains in effect through the day on Wednesday, despite the fact that the heat index values will be much higher tomorrow. We're going to be back around 100 degrees for heat index values tomorrow, a tad cooler on Wednesday, but hot enough to warrant the advisory still being in effect. Shower and storm chances return on Wednesday, and then we're going to see unsettled weather settle in for several days, several chances for showers and storms for the remainder of the week. Your Foot Battery Storm Tracker 2 live radar, quiet as a mouse. Dry weather will continue through the night tonight and through the day tomorrow. Temperatures across the area, low to mid 70s, even some upper 70s as we peek back towards the west. Incredibly warm weather for this time of night. 76 degrees at Griffiths and Rome with clear skies, a 73-degree dew point, tropical levels of humidity, very, very sticky, stifling air out there. It is not a great night for sleep, and really, really unfortunate for people that are out of power tonight. Your Clinton Tractor and Implement Mowcast. Tomorrow is a great opportunity to get the lawn cut if you're willing to bear the heat. Wednesday, most of the day looks dry as well. Thursday, unfortunately, looks rather showery. Tonight, temperatures don't really drop off too much. Lows are only going to be in the low to mid 70s. Dry weather continues tomorrow, and it wastes no time heating up. We're up to 90 degrees by midday, and we're in the mid 90s for the entirety of the afternoon. It doesn't really cool off yet again tomorrow night. By midnight, tomorrow night, still 75 degrees in Utica, and lows tomorrow night yet again, upper 60s, low 70s. Not a very not a very cold night or comfortable night for sleep. Wednesday, warm, highs in the mid to upper 80s, clouds increase in the afternoon. Tomorrow, highs in around 94 degrees, hot, sunny conditions continue, and that is why we have that alert day in effect for tomorrow. Your 7-day forecast, again, that alert day remains in effect through the day on Tuesday due to the dangerous levels of heat index. You're going to be creeping back between 100 and 105 tomorrow afternoon. Rounds of showers and storms arrive Wednesday evening. We settle into cooler weather for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday with temperatures in the mid 70s, but warm weather makes its return, and the second half of the weekend does look rather dry.
All right, we'll take
dry.
it. All right, thank you, sir. Coming up next,